Welcome to Deeply Disturbing Things,
the podcast.
I'm Macy.
And I'm Naomi.
And we're two anxious counselors who'd like to talk about deeply disturbing things.
Grab some hairspray, grab a lighter, and let's get into it. Cheers.
Torch this MFer.
Let's do it. Cheers. I had just taken a drink when you started. That's good. Why I was laughing.
Yeah.
Because I was not prepared, but we rallied. We figured it out.
Yes. Howdy.
We're back after a couple weeks off.
Yes.
Both of us are very tired.
Yes.
But we are going to do our best.
We're going to do our best. If you want some fun, interesting stuff, become a Podbean patron.
It's only $1.
It's only $1.
It's the best way to support our podcast, and you get access to exclusive content.
It was exclusive. There was even a request made and completed.
A request honored and delivered.
Mm-hmm.
I get to go first today. Okay. I lost my glasses.
Oh, great.
So I'm going to be squinting a lot.
Why don't you bring it closer to your face?
I guess I could do that.
Okay. I mean, I didn't think like that. I mean, still put it on the table, but like.
Okay. Don't look, because I'm making my font like a hella big.
A hella big. You can't even see how to make your font hella big. Here, just do this with the 2 fingers. Do you not know how to computer?
No, I don't. Oh my God, that's too big.
Too big? Okay, here.
Too big.
Okay.
Okay, I got it.
All right.
This is a topical topic.
Topical topic. Get your ointments out.
I am going to talk about the abject failure of the U.S. monkeypox response.
Yeah, no, great.
Yeah, no, great. All the emotions.
I feel the blatant disregard.
Let's get into it.
Yes.
The World Health Organization, the WHO, is currently looking to rename the virus to decrease stigma. They're asking for suggestions. What do you think it should be renamed?
I don't know. I think if COVID was called monkeypox, people would have taken it a lot more seriously. If they said people were dying by the thousands of monkeypox, the people would be really freaked out.
We would have had mask adherence.
Yes,
100%.
I think
you like the name monkeypox?
Yeah, I don't think that's the name. I mean, yes, I think there's stigma associated, but I don't think that's the bigger of the problems.
No, and their reasoning is because it's stigmatizing as being an African virus. That's the reason they want it.
And in all fairness, I don't know why it's named that.
I'll tell you.
Great.
What is monkeypox?
Tell me. I'm here for this. I've missed you.
I know, it's been too long. Monkeypox is a rare disease, not as rare as it was, caused by infection.
I sound excited
with the monkeypox virus. I'm just excited to be here. I'm not excited about monkeypox.
Is this one of those things that has a twist? I don't know.
There is a little plot twist.
All right.
Monkeypox virus is part of the same family of viruses as variola virus, which is the virus that causes smallpox.
Oh, no bueno. And anything with olea, what is it?
Variola.
Variola
virus. Monkeypox symptoms are similar to smallpox symptoms, but milder, and monkeypox has a lower fatality rate. Smallpox had a 30% fatality rate, and historically, fatality rates have been between 3 and 6% for monkeypox, the higher end seen in children. Monkeypox is not related to another popular pox, the chicken pox.
Just because it's a mammal.
Well, just because it's a pox.
Oh, yeah, the other side of that too. Just because it's animal related or a pox and or both animal and pox.
Remember the old curse they used to say, a pox on your firstborn. You have to really specify which pox.
The 1840s?
Yeah.
Who says that?
When I grew up.
Say that one more time for me.
A pox on your firstborn.
Have you given this curse to
someone? No, I have not. I have neither given it nor received it.
All right. Just check.
Did you have chicken pox though?
I've gotten chicken pox 3 times.
What?
I know, you're not supposed to be able to do that. but I did, and I have little subset scarring from it, and a very embarrassing photo of me naked in a bathtub covered in the white stuff.
The calamine lotion.
Yeah, like little polka dots all over my entire body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had it when I was 13, which is on the older end.
Yeah, I don't think
it was very
I was younger.
Unpleasant.
Yeah. I'm very for anyone that should be anti-vax, it'd be me, but I'm not. But having it 3 times, having my vaccines, and my stupid school system lost my records twice and forced me to get all those basic immunizations again.
Oh, no thanks.
Yeah, right?
I'm a half anti-vaxxer.
One then done. That's what I always say, except for then all the ones that I have to do again.
Or none and done, in my case. Monkeypox is not new. It was discovered in 1958 when 2 outbreaks of a pox-like disease occurred in a colony of monkeys that were kept for research.
Okay, so that was one of my questions, was, are monkeys actually involved?
So that's why it was named monkeypox, but the actual source of the disease is unknown.
I mean, that's almost how all of these start off, where they point at an animal, like all the culling of all of the minks, weasel minks things.
Hamsters?
For COVID? No.
I think there was a hamster culling.
Well, there was a hamster culling, but there was also, it was in a different country where they killed like over 3,000 something or more.
Yeah. The first human case of monkeypox was recorded in 1970. In our current 2022 outbreak, the first U.S. case was reported on May 17th. So a little less than...
a little tourist pox.
A little less than 3 months ago. The WHO had declared monkeypox a global health emergency on July 23rd. Just for the record, today is August 14th.
And I just want to say, like, I saw these news articles coming out, and they weren't the top articles. And there's this air of like, how seriously should I take this? And then it just started feeling bigger, but not getting more media attention from what I've seen.
San Francisco declared a health emergency on July 28th. The whole state of California followed on August 1st. The U.S. declared monkeypox a national health emergency on August 4th, which was 10 days ago. So let's go back in time a little bit.
My favorite thing.
Here is an article from the Washington Post from June 10th. Okay. Biden administration officials Friday warned that the U.S. monkeypox outbreak has worsened, with at least 45 cases of the viral illness identified in 15 states, up from 20 cases a week ago. But they stressed that the risk to the public remains low and that public health agencies have the tools necessary to protect people. Quote, "We have tests for monkeypox. We have vaccines for monkeypox, and we have treatments for monkeypox," unquote. Raj Punjabi, who leads the White House global health security efforts, said in a briefing.
Yeah, I remember reading that, and it just gave off this air of like, it's fine.
He said, "We have a multi-pronged approach to deploy those tools to ensure we're fighting this outbreak as effectively as possible. More than 1,300 cases of monkeypox have been detected around the globe as the disease, which has repeatedly emerged in Central and West Africa in recent decades, but rarely spread among humans, appears to be gaining a foothold in countries including Germany, Portugal, and the United Kingdom. The current episode is likely to become the worst ever monkeypox outbreak recorded in the United States, surpassing a 2003 outbreak in which 47 cases were confirmed or detected. But public health experts have stressed that monkeypox presents far less risk than the coronavirus pandemic. Quote, "My sense is that this isn't going to be anything like what we've seen with COVID. The general public does not need to get too worried about it at this point."
My senses.
Said Don Milton, University of Maryland environmental scientist.
We'll circle back, sir.
Who has advised the White House and others on combating the coronavirus.
I just don't like it when people in general tell me how to feel about something.
While federal regulators have not approved scientific treatments for monkeypox, officials said that treatments and vaccines prepared to fight smallpox are available through the Strategic National Stockpile. Okay. The Strategic National Stockpile holds enough vaccine, remember this, to vaccinate millions of Americans if needed. This is a quote from Dawn O'Connell, Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response at the Department of Health and Human Services.
But wasn't like the big thing with COVID was not about, I mean, yes, we didn't have a vaccine for a while, but then it was distribution was a huge barrier, and we haven't even hit that. I mean, yeah.
You just wait, Macy.
Okay, I can't wait. I'm all in because this has been a news article that's just been under the surface that I like want to yell at, but like nobody's talking about it. Like, really?
We're talking about it.
And so let's do this.
So this Dawn O'Connell, Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response, which I think is a badass job title. She said officials had more than 100 million doses of an older smallpox vaccine, ACAM 2000, and about 72,000 doses of a newer smallpox vaccine that was also approved for monkeypox, Jynneos, in inventory. So in this Strategic National Stockpile inventory. So that's the end of that June 10th article. Seems like we have nothing to worry about.
Are you going to talk about like what smallpox is? Like really, like how it impacts the body?
You mean monkeypox?
What did I say? Smallpox?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay. I have questions.
So that was 2 months ago, that article. It seems like, oh, well, we have plenty of vaccines. It could rain vaccines.
Great.
We're all good. This national strategic stockpile. Love that. Thank goodness the government is taking care of us. I have nothing to worry about.
Not like some people would take it.
But. So how many cases were there then? At that time?
That wasn't
45 cases.
45.
Okay. Case counts as of 2 days ago, which is the most recent data I could get. As of August 12th, San Francisco has 546 monkeypox cases. Ooh. Los Angeles has 797. California as a whole has 1,945. There are cases in every U.S. state. The state with the highest numbers is New York with 2,295. The U.S. as a whole has 11,177 cases altogether.
What? That wasn't my last news article.
The whole world has 31,799 cases. That means the U.S. has over 1/3 of the total cases worldwide. How could that be, you ask? I thought we had the National Strategic Stockpile.
I thought it was raining vaccines.
I thought we had tests. I thought we had vaccines. I thought we had treatments galore. What happened?
Because I mean,
we'll find out.
Okay. Because 11,000, not a good number, but definitely that's less than the millions of vaccines.
It's less. Good
less.
Math.
Thanks.
You asked about monkeypox symptoms. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I've been curious.
People with monkeypox get a rash that may be located on or near the genitals or anus.
Oh, that's making more sense now. Okay.
AKA butthole. The CDC has made that defined.
Excuse me?
They said anus and then parentheses they put butthole.
Okay, can we stop? So
in case you're not sure what an anus is.
But that's like, but why is butthole?
The choice?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Butthole.
I mean, what's another alternative to anus? Besides butthole.
It's your anus or...
Now I can't think of anything but butthole.
I can't think of anything but butthole. Google, help me.
Google synonyms for anus.
Here it goes. Synonyms.
The rash can also be on other areas.
Oh, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So that doesn't make sense. Okay. An orifice, bunghole.
Oh, yeah.
Muscular sphincter ani.
Oh, sphincter.
Yeah.
The sphincter.
Porta.
Not heard of that one.
Arse.
Oh.
An arsehole.
Got it.
Asshole. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Sphincter ani. Can we talk? Rectum. Rectum.
Rectum.
I feel like rectum would make more sense than butthole. Just as far as like, I don't know, to sound professional. There's two more. Imperforate anus. Okay. And then an opening.
Just an opening. One of many.
So it could have said anus, rear opening, or the back door. They could have just said the back door and we'd all understand.
Back door. So the rash can also be on hands, feet, chest, face, mouth. The rash will go through several stages, including blistering and scabs before healing, and the rash may leave scarring, like we talked about with chickenpox. The rash can initially look like pimples or blisters and may be painful or itchy.
See, and this is why I think COVID didn't get as much attention. And I'm like, if these would have been flippy dude,
like monkeypox came first.
Yeah, if monkeypox, because right now everyone is fatigued AF about hearing about anything, and they don't want to. I get it; they don't want it to exist. But initially, if COVID had blisters on your face and your hands, and that person sitting next to you on the plane that didn't have their mask on had blisters all over their body, you would feel a different kind of way about it, I think.
Like more concern.
Yeah. Like, I don't want my face to be blistered, and I don't want my opening to have wounds.
My back door
to have holes.
I mean, I think because there isn't a high fatality rate is part of why we haven't seen the concern, but this is still debilitating.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and when we start talking about
it's personal,
kids and infants,
it's debilitating.
Always tend to be impacted. And I've read that like a kid can die of something like that. Like a kid could die of herpes, a baby.
Right, fatality rates are higher in cases with kids, but we still need to be concerned about who's being impacted, which I am going to dive into.
Great. We just need to target people's complete lack of,
let's just be humans,
just ego, their intense ego, and go after their face and say, this is what your social Instagram's gonna look like the smoking commercials, anti-smoking commercials.
Other symptoms of monkeypox are flu-like and can include fever, chills, swollen lymph nodes,
like you don't feel
fatigue, muscle aches, backaches, headache, and respiratory symptoms, sore throat, nasal congestion, and cough. So people may only experience a few of the symptoms or can experience all. Some people have the flu-like symptoms before the rash. Some people just get the rash, then have the other symptoms, or some people just get the rash. Monkeypox symptoms usually start within 3 weeks of exposure to the virus. So you may have been exposed and infected, and then you don't figure it out until 3 weeks later.
That's rough.
So if someone has the flu-like symptoms, they'll usually develop the rash within a few days after that. Monkeypox can be spread from the time symptoms start until the rash is healed, and then all scabs have fallen off and a fresh layer of skin formed. So that period can last 2 to 4 weeks where you're contagious and you have to quarantine. So it could be up to a month that somebody has to isolate, which consider the impact to your job, your relationships.
And again, we just went through something similar, having people quarantine.
And we know that isolation is psychologically damaging in and of itself.
And just even not be moving around because you can't like leave your house.
And I want to say that that info there that I just read was from the CDC, but I looked at a lot of different sources because I did not want to just draw from CDC. And some other sources said that scientists are actually still researching whether people are only contagious while they're symptomatic, or if they could possibly pass it on during that incubation period.
AKA,
so they don't know that
we
for
don't
sure.
know shit
Right.
about most things.
I mean, the Biden administration, did you know early on they told people to wear masks to prevent monkeypox, but then they walked it back super quick?
I mean, that does not surprise me at all. And I'm really upset because this is where politics get in. I hate that politics get involved with medical anything because the messaging has been watered down in a very politicalized climate, but people are getting sick.
Much has been said about monkeypox being different from COVID. It's not as easily transmitted due to not being aerosolized, though there is evidence that it can be transmitted through large droplets, like if somebody sneezes or coughs, really close to you. And also because the risk of death is rare. But monkeypox is no walk in the park. It can be physically, emotionally, and spiritually devastating.
And why is there a comparison? They're not even like the same thing. Like correlation does not prove causation.
I think it's to decrease panic, but
maybe
is it an accurate message? Like, I just want accuracy.
Yeah, and like maybe people should be a little worried. Maybe we should be able to make our own decisions.
Maybe that's exactly it. Give me the information and let me make my own fucking decision.
Yeah, stop watering it down, put it where I can see it.
Don't decide what I can handle or can't handle.
Yeah, like if I see you, top official, wearing a fucking mask and then you tell other people not to, like, screw you.
Yeah, just give me the facts. Let me figure it out.
I'll make my choice.
I'm an adult. So people can experience excruciating headaches, excruciating. Lymph nodes so swollen, they've been described as frog-like.
Wait, frog-like?
You know, big, swollen.
When I got my COVID booster and my under armpit lymph node was swollen, it was like frog-like. I didn't have that descriptor before, but now I do. So thank you.
Pain so bad, some have had to call mental health support lines. Lesions around the mouth can make it really difficult to eat. Mm-hmm. There can be intense rectal pain and rectal bleeding. And when you have to poop, it has been described as feeling like shitting glass or shitting needles or having a light bulb explode in your ass.
Up your arse?
Up your butthole.
I'm surprised cornhole wasn't on there.
I don't know.
That's people have been. Oh, is it because cornhole's a game now? Like, I didn't know. It's been a game for a long time.
I just think Beavis and Butthead.
Me too, Cornholio.
Yeah,
I just watched that recently. What are you doing? Oh yeah.
What does he say? I need TP for my bunghole. Ma'am, Cornholio.
Ma'am, Cornholio. Sorry,
there was Beavis and Butthead. My shirt didn't work. Yeah, my shirt didn't.
Yours actually was starting to work, and I was getting excited.
Okay.
Are we? No, we're not. We're not crude enough. I was gonna say, are we modern day Beavis and Butthead?
No, I would like to be, but I have to hold back, unfortunately. People have been limiting food intake so they don't have to poop so often. Yeah. And also people have been losing weight because it's difficult to eat because of the lesions around the mouth. Information on how to treat the illness after it is contracted is sparse and has led to individuals supporting and helping one another by sharing their experiences and tips and tricks to manage the pain and isolation.
That's like with the long COVID. I know several people who are having such a hard time finding guidance on what to do with long COVID symptoms. And it's like all going to like social support groups of here's what's helping me because there just isn't information.
Any helpful information. Yeah. Okay. How does monkeypox spread? Monkeypox can spread to anyone through close personal, often skin-to-skin contact. This little bit is from the CDC. A pregnant person can spread the virus to their fetus through the placenta. It's also possible for people to get monkeypox from infected animals, either by being scratched or bitten by the animal or by preparing or eating meat or using products from an infected animal. Scientists are still researching if the virus can be spread when someone has no symptoms. So this is one of a few places where I find different information in different sources. And I search vast sources of information. And some are like, nope, can't spread it unless you have symptoms. And then, this site said, well, they're still researching it. Scientists are also researching how often monkeypox is spread through respiratory secretions, or when a person with monkeypox symptoms might be more likely to spread the virus through respiratory secretions. So maybe someplace in the cycle, they're more contagious than others.
And just to speak about research really quick. So someone saying that it's not possible, they could be citing a specific study with even a small population of people and say, but that makes you think that means everybody. So the people saying that research is continuing means that there is no conclusive evidence, which probably means there aren't large enough populations to know for sure-ish.
Right. And people just started researching this in the last couple of months.
So
there hasn't been any longitudinal studies.
Just grain of salt with people say that they're certain it's probably about a specific study.
Scientists are still looking into whether monkeypox can be spread through semen, vaginal fluids, urine, or feces. So that is still on the table. And this next bit is from sanfrancisco.gov. Condoms during sex are an important way to protect yourself and others from HIV and other STIs like gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis. We do not know yet whether condoms reduce the risk of getting or giving someone else monkeypox during sex.
Yeah, it just depends on because just because you have a condom on doesn't mean there isn't skin-to-skin contact. Because if it's up in the groinal area and it's spread by sweat secretion, you're gonna get monkeypox, crotch pox. That could be the new name.
Crotch pox
on your face.
Ooh. While we learn more about how the monkeypox virus is spread, sf.gov wants everyone to know that monkeypox can be spread during any close physical contact, including sex or by face-to-face coughing or sneezing, kissing, licking, skin-to-skin rubbing.
I've had my podcast topic about kissing, and kissing is gross. So,
or sharing of sex toys, bedding, towels, clothing, or utensils, among other ways. And can I just say, I think my decision to fold the roller derby league at the end of 2019 was prophetic. Pro-fucking-fetic.
Dude, I had a roller derby dream last night.
Can you imagine with monkeypox rubbing the skins?
Coach, can I tell you my roller derby dream?
Sure.
It was normally I have I guess it was kind of an anxiety dream, but I joined a rec league, just for fun thing. And I was like, can I wear my jersey? And they were like, what's your name? And I was Wound Punch. And they said, no, you're gonna have to change your name. And guess who was on the rec league with me? Val Death.
Oh, Val Death.
Death. And it was all me being like, I don't know if I can I feel like I'm gonna learn some bad habits because of the poor practices, how bad these practices are. And that was my whole thing. And I woke up and I want to hit people.
You miss hitting people.
I do.
Let's find a way for you to get that out of your system.
But I can't now because people are gross. They were gross before too, just in all fairness.
They've always been gross.
People have always been gross.
We're just becoming more aware of it now.
I'm generally gross too, so don't worry.
CDC recommends vaccination for people who have been exposed to monkeypox and people who may be more likely to get monkeypox. People more likely to get monkeypox include people who have been identified by public health officials as a contact of someone with monkeypox, people who are aware that one of their sexual partners in the past 2 weeks has been diagnosed with monkeypox, people who have had multiple sexual partners in the past 2 weeks in an area with known monkeypox. It does not spread by casual conversation or walking by someone with monkeypox in a grocery store. This bit's from sf.gov. You need to have prolonged physical contact or sharing bedding or clothing with someone who has the virus. So that bit's to reduce fear. We don't need to make people feel
toilet thing.
Horrible about themselves.
Can I sit on the toilet and not get AIDS? Yeah, person. Just get your facts straight. It's a little different than that.
Although anyone can contract monkeypox, The virus is overwhelmingly impacting men and transgender people who have sex with men.
And I've heard about this, and I have to say, I really like how you presented this because every article I've read has led with that, and I don't like it. Not saying that it's not true.
I was intentional in the ordering.
I know. I didn't know, but but in the articles I've read, that's like the first sentence or two.
And what does that do? It makes a lot of people tune out.
It feels very,
because a lot of people will be like,
and
for whatever reason, are like, oh, well, this doesn't apply to me. I don't want to know anything about this. And that's not the way it should be.
And it furthers stigma against marginalized groups of people who they say, oh, it's those people have these problems, these sexual problems.
It further because of increases stigma and discrimination
because of Satan. So I appreciate your order.
So there's a weekly report on the CDC website titled the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report.
Oh,
I know.
Oh, great.
From the most recent one.
Sounds right up our alley.
Among U.S. monkeypox cases with available data, 99% occurred in men, 94% of whom reported recent male-to-male sexual or close intimate contact. Racial and ethnic minority groups appear to be disproportionately affected. So we saw that with COVID. We're seeing it again. Clinical presentations differed from typical monkeypox, with fewer persons experiencing that like flu-like stuff and more experiencing genital rashes. So this is important information that is not in the mainstream media at all. You have to dig. It's not on the front CDC page. Like I had to dig for this. Public health efforts, so this is still from that CDC report. Public health efforts to slow monkeypox transmission among gay, bisexual, and other men who have sex with men require addressing challenges that include homophobia, stigma, and discrimination.
Yes.
And
say that first. Not you.
Well, yeah. And so some of my sources called out transgender people as being in the high-risk group. Some sources just say men who have sex with men. I think that the more accurate is saying
better.
Gay, bisexual, men, and transgender people who have sex with men seems to be more the accurate way to describe who is being affected right now. Although the largest proportion of cases have occurred in white persons, Black and Hispanic persons who represent approximately 34% of the general population accounted for 54% of monkeypox cases. So overrepresented. Further, the proportion of cases among Black persons has increased during the past few weeks. So the CDC does say ensuring equity in approaches to monkeypox testing, treatment, and prevention is critical.
Well, and education too, like getting the right information out there so people can make informed decisions.
And right now it's just a colossal ball of confusion. So I wanted to dig a little further into this overrepresentation of Black individuals in the data. And I found that in North Carolina, Black men are getting 70% of monkeypox cases and only 24% of vaccines. And in Georgia, it's even more dramatic. Out of the 466 cases that for which the state has racial data, 82% were Black patients. So even though the CDC says ensuring equity in approaches to testing, treatment, and prevention is critical, this is not happening.
And there's long-standing historical issues of fear of healthcare, and
justified,
as I say, warranted
mistrust of
from specifically being targeted and historically so
abused.
Exactly. So instead of they're just not saying that. Like, why don't you say that?
Why don't you say that?
Say that and say, here's how we're going to try to help anyways. We have to do more because we've hurt more instead of just saying equitable. No, you don't get to do the same amount for Caucasian middle-aged women.
You can't have it just intent. You have to have the impact that you want.
You have to do more. Do more. Sorry.
No,
get me all riled up on my topic.
I was actually been looking forward to today because I've been bothered, and I'm glad that we have this platform to be able to speak about things and hopefully spread things around the world.
I have a hard time doing topical things because I feel really heated. So I try to pick something that feels a little distant.
I choose. It depends on what it is. I won't, if it's something where I just don't feel like it's respectful to do it yet, I will wait on those. Yeah. But I feel like this, to wait, does nobody any justice.
No, I
the agree. Time is now.
I'm glad you chose this.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You don't have to thank me. Thank you.
Oh, thank
you, because you're doing more.
Doing something, hopefully.
Doing more than most.
Current findings indicate that community.
Not our fault if people don't listen to us.
Subscribe and follow. Current findings indicate that community transmission of monkeypox is widespread and is disproportionately affecting the population I mentioned, gay, bisexual, and transgender people who have sex with men. And this is consistent with the data reported in other countries, except, interestingly, not Africa. I didn't dive into why that was. But scientists don't know why. Scientists do not know why this group is the one that is being almost overwhelmingly, 99%? Which is affected.
Yeah, which is really sad that it's hitting this population so hard, or these populations so hard. But we should figure that out.
So if you look at a lot of mainstream media sources out there, it will say very quickly, it'll lead with how Macy said, that it's affecting this population, and then it'll say very quickly and definitively that this is not a sexually transmitted illness. And I think it's because if that label's applied, it's going to make people feel ashamed to seek treatment.
Yes, which we don't want.
But however, we also want accurate information out there so people can protect themselves and others.
What are they defining as sexually transmissible?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now.
Great. I love lead-ins.
In June, it was announced researchers had detected viral DNA in the semen of a handful of monkeypox patients in Italy and Germany, including a lab-tested sample that suggested the virus found in the semen of a single patient was capable of infecting another person and replicating.
Okay, so it is sexually transmissible.
Some research indicates that may be the case.
But in the
Are you outraged? Because I'm outraged.
No, yeah, it happened. So because it happened means it can happen. It's not, we've seen no cases where this has happened, so it's not a sexually transmissible disease. Let's let people be prepared with all the knowledge that it could.
Exactly.
And it has before. Even if, give me the small percentage. I don't care, but tell me it's happened.
That's exactly my thing. Arm people with knowledge. I think there's so much irresponsible journalism. It's all about getting the clicks and getting the hits, and there's no accountability. It's just completely irresponsible. Several studies have found.
Shall we label this podcast "Monkeypox is a sexually transmitted disease"?
Oh God, no. I'm not. I'm just. All I right, said there was.
All right.
A lab tested sample.
If you are a Podbean listener, you may know that's a sample of research. Had it happen?
It was a sample of research.
So grain of salt. That I said that earlier. Grain of salt,
but let's not write it off.
Yeah,
let's not say it's definitive.
They're making it sound like it's never happened and it's not a transmissible sexual disease. Therefore, you shouldn't be worried about it during sex. But
it's giving people false information, which I don't believe in. I belong to the religion of truth. Alethea, forever.
Alethea.
Several
I'm
studies.
still emotionally damaged by the fact that you have like some really good sayings on the podcast, and I can't think of anything.
That's okay.
I just talk.
Just work harder.
I'm here and I talk. No.
Several studies have found, so this is several studies.
Several.
Have found that DNA from the monkeypox virus is present in a person's semen for weeks after they become infected. One study also isolated infectious virus from a single individual semen 6 days after their symptoms appeared.
If it lasts this long in semen, think how long the truth will last. Was that a good soundbite?
That's great. Right there.
Okay.
It is confusing that we are told, this is Naomi talking here.
Okay.
That the primary way monkeypox is spreading is through sex. But the mainstream news outlets report monkeypox is definitely not a sexually transmitted illness. That is very confusing.
Don't be talking about rectums, buttholes, and cornholios if you then say, but it's about.
I am all for sex positivity. I do not support slut shaming, but people need accurate information so they can make the best decisions to support their health and the health of others. We need to focus on science and facts. Knowledge is power.
Well, and that makes me think of the whole HIV/AIDS crisis, like literally a crisis, and stemmed from a ton of misinformation and stigma, lasted way longer than necessary. And then, like, once people were educated, informed, and treated,
people died.
Yeah, and so many people died.
I had a friend die of AIDS.
Really? Yeah. That's so sad. So, like, to me, it's just, yes, it minimizes harm for the non, I'm trying to think here, for any minority population. But everybody else, what, is just gonna get harmed because of they don't have all the information.
Health experts reiterate let's get back to the main message.
Health experts.
From most health experts. Health experts reiterate we should focus on the most common mode of transmission, which at this time is known to be prolonged skin-to-skin contact, specifically contact with skin lesions.
But that could be the groin. That could be penis. That could be vagina.
So whether monkeypox is sexually transmitted in absolute terms, so this is the definition of an STI,
yes,
passed from one person to another through blood, semen, or other bodily fluids saliva during sex, is still unclear.
But has happened.
Well, they've had those studies.
Yeah, so it's not, we don't have
it's
volumes of research. Well, it's not unclear, it's happened. We just don't have enough research to
say it definitively.
Yes.
So we don't know if monkeypox is sexually transmitted in absolute terms. So I think journal outlets that are saying it's not an STI because they are trying to decrease stigma, if it's not true, it's not helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's people need to get off the bandwagon of like being, okay, so I just came back from a trip from Iowa. I call Iowa nice.
People are not that fragile. Give people the truth.
There's no reason to just sugarcoat things that don't need to be sugarcoated. If it needs to happen, if it needs to be said, it needs to be done. Yeah. Period. It's not helpful.
It's not.
And that's not a statement about all Iowans. It is just no,
we don't want to
poor generalization.
We don't want to speak negatively about any group of people.
I just did spend a lot of time in Iowa though. And they are very nice people, but often sugarcoat a lot of things. And you know it.
I've never been to Iowa. I don't know anything about Iowa.
No, they're very nice, but it's very nice. And
I don't even know where Iowa is.
It's a lot about from what my experience is, a lot about like appearances and being friendly, but sometimes you just can't.
Sometimes you can't.
I kept saying, I'm from Washington. I'm from Washington. That doesn't happen here.
So even if the virus can be sexually transmitted, it's unclear how large of a role this mode of transmission has compared with simply being in close, prolonged skin-to-skin contact, or inhaling their large respiratory particles, which can also occur during sex.
Yeah.
If other studies find infectious virus in semen, understanding how long it can persist in that bodily fluid will be important. And so scientists note that viruses such as Ebola can persist in semen for months, if not years after infection, which has really complicated efforts to prevent outbreaks. So I not only looked at like the CDC guidance, I went over to the UK, as I often do to get news. The UK Health Security Agency is advising the precaution of using condoms for 12 weeks after a confirmed diagnosis of monkeypox.
Ah, fuck.
I couldn't find that anywhere on the CDC.
Damn it.
So
Damn it.
inconsistency in guidelines just creates chaos and confusion, mistrust. It diminishes confidence. It diminishes compliance.
Yes.
When I saw that, I was like, seriously?
That's
I went back to the CDC website. I looked again just to be sure, and I didn't find anything like that.
I mean,
12 weeks. They upped it. They had originally, about a month ago, said 8 weeks. They upped it to 12 weeks.
Which means it's worse. It's probably worse than that.
So it means they're taking this unclear area seriously to protect people.
Which I would rather have. Like, and again, let people then decide with that knowledge what to do.
Exactly. And say, here's the recommendation. I'm going to choose to follow it or not, but at least I have information to be able to make that decision.
But how can you let people not know and make a choice that they didn't know could harm them?
It's really frustrating. Public health officials have not been able to explain, I mentioned this, why this outbreak has affected mostly gay, bisexual, and transgender people. And this has led many to draw parallels with how the gay community felt when how they felt abandoned during the AIDS crisis in the 70s and 80s. So Jeffrey Gallay, who hosts an online support group for those impacted by monkeypox, said, there's a lot of layered issues that have come up that are very heavy. You have people who have lived through AIDS, suffering from PTSD, people that are in extended isolation for 25 to 30 days, people dealing with stigma from their community.
I don't need more stigma.
Some have said the current vaccine shortage wouldn't exist if women and children were the ones getting monkeypox.
See, yes, I agree. If it was on the faces, like when I flew back into our town recently, and I was the only one wearing a mask on the plane. I was, and they all looked at me. But whatever, if they all had monkeypox on their faces, it'd be different. They would start caring a whole lot more.
Yeah, you can't just care about your own. You need to be a part of the community of humans and care about everybody.
Don't be selfish. I mean, be selfish, but not at the harm of other people.
So the first cases of U.S. children getting monkeypox was announced by the CDC on July 22nd.
I mean, it's just a matter of time.
Do you know what happened the next day?
Did they die?
No. The next day, the WHO announced the global health emergency.
Oh, fuck off.
Coincidence? Perhaps.
Sorry, I'm swearing a lot
No, this...
I guess I do that.
This is...
No, it's wrong.
It's going to make... wrong. It brings out the passion.
Like, I mean, I get it. Nobody wants children to die. That's horrible and sad. Oh, sorry. No. Just assume.
This is just spreading false information left and right on this podcast.
Babies are dying.
They are not dying.
If that's what it takes, I don't know. So just kidding. I didn't say that. Okay, so
Macy likes babies.
I don't really.
I'm coming behind you cleaning it up. I feel like the White House press secretary cleaning up after Trump.
Unless it's mine, but I don't have any. So whatever. I forgot what I was gonna say. Probably not important. Carry on.
Some hate-filled straight cis individuals have stated they aren't worried about monkeypox because it doesn't have anything to do with them. Some have said those getting monkeypox deserve it and are being punished for their sinful behavior.
Damn it, I knew it. I knew it was gonna get there. You guys are so predictable.
I watched some horrible
I can't
interviews of people, and they were just spewing just ignorance and hate.
My tolerance line is so low right now. I will probably go off on somebody.
So we want to avoid stigmatizing or shaming people for their sexuality, because obviously.
You know what I almost did a topic about, and it may be a future thing, but have you seen Sex Rooms on Netflix?
No, I have not.
It's good. And like, I love how in such a good way it promotes sexual positivity for like kinks and things you just enjoy, and like promoting that instead of like shaming it to the bedroom and you can't talk about it. So
I'm sure it's banned. A good thing. Certain states.
It's okay. I just want to say super popular in Iowa right now because we talked about it a lot.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, like,
go Iowa.
I think a lot of people, when they admit to themselves and are allowed to not feel judged for it, guess what? You like sex. You do. Dad,
this topic is so close to home. I can't really talk about it. Read my book, which I will never publish.
I'll read it.
Oh,
Can I read it?
Well, I got inspired last night at that concert because, gotta listen to our Pre-Funk.
Sorry.
I went to a concert last night, and the singer was singing about a lot of like personal stuff, and I felt very inspired, and I thought maybe that's a way to have my book content be shared. Maybe I go to an open mic night and read one page each week.
I like it.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of thought you like wanted to start like another
all
girl punk band with me, and all of my childhood reminiscence would come to be, and I'd have something to do with my drum set again.
Sorry.
It's fine. It doesn't fit in my car anyway. I have the
Paula's
accordion still.
Drummer.
Everyone's always looking for a drummer. There's not enough.
I told him I'd be his drummer, but I have to play one single steel drum only. No, the steel drum, the like Jamaican sound.
Oh,
that's my favorite drum sound. Okay, we want to remain sex positive.
He said no, obviously, right?
I don't know. I think this was deep in the night last night.
You won't remember a thing.
So all that, we want to avoid stigmatizing or shaming people for their sexuality. We want to remain sex positive, and we also want to prevent the spread of monkeypox. So a balanced approach is necessary to stop the spread.
Yes.
Let's talk about the vaccine.
Okay.
Remember back when I talked about earlier, the National Strategic Stockpile with millions
and then 75,000 millions.
So if you've been exposed to monkeypox or if you're at risk, you should seek out a vaccine. That's the direction.
Great.
The preferred vaccine to protect against monkeypox is Jynneos. I think I said there was 72,000 doses in the stockpile.
75, I think.
Something there. So this is meant to be a 2-dose vaccine, so similar to like Moderna or Pfizer.
Yeah.
You're supposed to take the second dose 14 days after the first dose.
Okay.
And that allows the immune protection to give you the maximum.
I like getting the maximum.
From sf.gov. To date, we have received approximately 23,000 doses from the federal stockpile. San Francisco Department of Public Health requested 35,000 doses to begin to meet the need. This unfortunately means that someone may be eligible for a vaccine, but unable to receive it immediately due to a lack of vaccine supply from the state and federal governments.
No. You said that wasn't going to happen and that you were so prepared and that we shouldn't worry.
Yeah, and why do people mistrust the government? It's this kind of bullshit. This is current. That article was from June 10th. This is current from sf.gov as of yesterday.
And I mean,
I'm irate.
I am an avid vaxxer. Naomi is.
I'm a half vaxxer.
She's a half vaxxer. This is her topic. This isn't even my soapbox. This is just a genuinely concerned person who typically raises an eyebrow. So, WTF?
My whole thing is if people want a vaccine, they should have a fucking vaccine available to them.
I'm the one that I don't care. Give me the vaccine. I don't even know what it is. I'll take it.
So sf.gov agrees with me. The goal is for everyone who wants a vaccine to receive a vaccine.
Yes. Yes.
Those in the high risk groups have been encouraged to get the vaccine. However, this has not been easy. Demand has been higher than supply. And there are elaborate systems and strategies to navigate. So when this first started, creating concern, you needed to actually know someone who could give you the links to find the secret locations.
Oh, freaking stop!
Where limited amounts of vaccines would be available. I am not kidding.
No. So, okay.
I am not. I wish I was jesting.
My
this is real.
whole dissertation was on gender, non-conforming, and transgender persons' experiences with getting access to a mental health assessment and the immense barriers for them just to get help for mental health was ridiculous. And the fact that, that's the problem, is that if there's so many hoops to jump through, you lose people. People fall through the cracks, and it's not fair.
Or people just give up because it's too hard.
And
and then are out there getting infected or infecting others.
And people from who are low income, maybe can't drive there. And if there's no easily accessible way for them to get it, they're not going to get the vaccine. So how are you meeting the community needs?
Yep. And that situation I was talking about, that was just less than 2 weeks ago. So there, if you could get to the location where this limited amount of vaccines would be available, you would have to stand in long outdoor lines. You'd have to deal with frustration. So I follow a drag queen named Alaska Thunderfuck 5000. And he described his experience about how he got the secret link because he had the connection and went there and stood in line, put on the sunscreen, was prepared. And after an hour, finally got to the front and was turned away at an LA clinic. When he finally got up to the front of the line, he was asked to prove his eligibility, to prove that he was at risk, because they're only giving it to those that are at the highest risk. So was he on PrEP, which is an HIV prophylactic drug? Did he receive this certain text message to say, come get a vaccine? Did he have a doctor's note? He was there. He was at risk. He's in the population, and he was turned away. He shared on his podcast that, yes, he had a little tantrum in front of everybody, but justified.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. So he had to then go to an urgent care, had to have someone there sign a document to say he was in the group eligible for that vaccine. Then I had to go back. And, driving in LA is no picnic.
No, and it's hot.
This is probably a whole day.
It's very hot in LA. Well, and I just want to say, this is where privilege, and anyone who says privilege doesn't exist, bite me.
And this is a famous drag queen.
I know.
If it's that hard for him,
yes.
Imagine for just the regs.
And I've made comments before when I got boosters, that not one person asked me to verify that I was in that grouping.
Right.
Why?
Yeah. So this is
there
happening.
There is privilege that happens, and it slaps other people in the face.
And so Alaska said it really shouldn't be this fucking difficult.
No.
There should be enough vaccine for everyone. Totally agree.
And that's if there's enough vaccines, then why are you questioning people?
Do you remember back to what the White House said in June?
75,000
millions. No problem. We can just
don't worry.
We can just drive a plane over your city, drop vaccines and tests and treatments. Ooh. It'll be raining cures.
It's all the new strands. Don't worry. It's fine that this is rapidly evolving in months for what other polio takes decades, if not lifetimes, to evolve, and yet COVID has taken months. Let that just sit there. But they won't say that out loud. No.
So that was the first thing. Then, in a strategy to get more people vaccinated and to stretch limited supplies further, about a week ago or a little more, individuals were told
I'm sweating.
They could receive one dose and their second dose would be TBD.
But that's not how it works.
So that way, at least more people could have some protection. So that was the strategy.
Yeah, but
this is the government strategy.
I want
our
the most effective that we have that you promised me a month ago.
You want to know what the current strategy is? No. You're gonna shit yourself.
I'm so upset already.
You're gonna shit needles.
God. Wait. Anyone like Alkaline Trio? Like a dog shitting razor blades? That's not that good. Sorry, go ahead.
Now the strategy is to cut one single dose by fifths and give it to 5 people.
Fuck you.
That's what they're doing. I shit you not. That is
because it's painful. It's too painful.
No, to make it stretch further.
No, I know. I meant you said to shoot me out.
Yeah. And so they're injecting it intradermally, which is between very thin skin layers, which takes a lot of talent, apparently, from what I read, to do. It's very difficult. If you do it too shallow, the vaccine will just come out of the skin and not give you enough protection. If you do it too deep, you're getting limited protection as well. So changing the method means less vaccine is needed and 5 times more people can get some. Come and get some. The vaccine makers, however, have expressed concern about this strategy.
No shit.
They're like, that's not really what we researched and recommend. We recommended 2 doses. Full doses,
well, can you
14 days apart.
How much people were freaking out about, it's only 97% effective for COVID, or it's only 92 now. And like they're, okay, what does cutting it by a fifth do? And do you want to publicly put that on a billboard? Put that on a billboard. The percentage that you're cutting the effectiveness specifically for marginalized communities. Do that for us, please. So we can see.
This is in the news, actually.
That
this is the Biden administration's most recent strategy to get vaccines in the arms of people.
I also would like to hear about my student loans.
Extremely high risk.
I'd also like to hear about my student loans. This is more important. I will say that. But like pushing
to
that.
You. Yeah.
To me, yes. This is more important.
Monkeypox is more important to me.
No,
so
I'm
not
saying,
her student loans.
No, my student loans are important, but not more important than monkeypox. I don't like that I have 3 weeks notice. That's stupid.
That is stupid. Most people get well from monkeypox without needing any medicines or other treatment. There is no medicine that the FDA has approved for monkeypox infection treatment, which is sort of true, but also not true, because we have T-pox. T-pox is considered an investigational drug.
Sounds like a rapper, though.
Monkeypox, yes. So it's considered investigational because it's been shown to be infective in animals, but it's been considered unethical to test on humans. So there is a treatment, but good luck getting it. Right now, San Francisco, on their website, they say they have a few T-pox pills available. A few.
That means 3. Couple means 2. A few means 3.
So they're really meant for like the most serious cases.
They're gonna do my favorite thing, like for housing. They're gonna do a lottery.
Do you remember back in that June 10th article, they said we have treatment galore.
Millions.
San Francisco.
They have a white cat on their lap with their pinky up to the millions.
A few pills. A few T-pox pills. And if you want to get it, guess what?
Too bad.
There's a 27-page form that a doctor needs to fill out with detailed patient information.
No, they didn't make anybody do that for COVID. They just like made it happen. So
physicians who want to prescribe T-pox must first sign up to become investigators in a clinical trial.
I know doctors, and they don't sign up for things. They barely manage their computers.
So since it's considered an investigational drug, the doctors have to sign up to be investigators in the clinical trial.
Oh my
They have to send in resumes. They have to create informed consent forms that the monkeypox patients will sign. So this process is labor intensive and virtually impossible for most doctors.
Why
says Linda D,
are we
the executive director of AIDS Action Baltimore, who knows what they're talking about.
Why are we making it harder for people to be healthy?
Exactly. Ms. D said, if this wasn't such a dire emergency, it would make a very good bureaucratic joke. Unfortunately, the joke is once again on the gay community. Unquote. So as you said, we need to find a way to gather data. That's important, but in a way that doesn't create barriers. Let's go back in time again. May 23rd, 2022. A news item from NBC by Evan Bush and Aria Bendix. When COVID-19 struck, humanity faced an out-of-control outbreak without vaccines or therapies. The level of preparedness for monkeypox couldn't be more different. The U.S. keeps 2 vaccines for smallpox approved by the FDA in the Strategic National Stockpile.
We found this on Google,
which was created as part of a 9/11 enhanced fear of bioterrorism. There was a lot of concern after the anthrax attacks in 2000, and it was understood the USSR was trying to weaponize smallpox.
So they're just going to share that?
The monkeypox virus is similar enough that researchers expect both shots to offer protection, although only one, called Jynneos, has been FDA approved to use against monkeypox.
It's hard enough to get people to take the vaccines for COVID if they weren't FDA approved. Like, come on.
So officials from the CDC said Monday, this is back in May 23rd, that more than enough doses of Jynneos are stockpiled and can be distributed to those who have been in contact with infected people. And also, in total, the government has more than 100 million doses of another smallpox vaccine called ACAM 2000. In addition, the FDA has approved 2 therapeutics to treat like smallpox.
Cologne.
Called T-Pax and Tembexa.
A rapper name.
The FDA said the national stockpile includes T-Pax doses. So
a few.
So this is part of why at the beginning everybody's like, in the mainstream, like, we're fine. The government will take care of us. Since the turn of the millennium, the U.S. government has spent more than $1 billion to develop and stockpile the Jynneos smallpox vaccine. The government has more than 1 million doses of Jynneos, liquid frozen at the Strategic National Stockpile.
So they have it.
Or stored in our facility in Europe, said Paul Chaplin, the president and CEO of Bavarian Nordic, the Danish company that manufactures the vaccine. More than 1 million doses of Jynneos.
Okay.
Frozen.
And?
Such vast quantities of the vaccine could have slowed the spread of monkeypox.
I just love how you said vaccine.
Vaccine after it first emerged in the U.S. in mid-May. Plot twist. Instead, the Strategic National Stockpile had only about 2,400 usable doses left at that point.
From what?
Enough to vaccinate only 1,000 people.
Where did they go?
What happened to the rest of the doses, you ask?
I do.
The rest of the doses had expired.
Oh my God. Flip the table, walk out of the room. Go fuck yourself. Really?
Can you believe that?
So they just let it expire without filling it up again.
One of the reasons for the reduction in the U.S. stockpile of Jynneos is that federal officials who were overseeing it had not viewed monkeypox as much of a problem.
Okay, but I'm just saying, whose job is it?
Somebody.
Who's fired now?
Not me.
To go through our emergency stockpile in case we ever get screwed over as a nation to make sure they're not expired. Because it seems like if I have to go through my pantry once a year to make sure I'm not eating beans that are gonna give me, what's it called?
Farts?
No. Oh. Well, I mean, maybe. But like, what's the where you open a can, you put it in the fridge, and you get, it was your topic.
Oh, botulism.
Yeah. So like, why? I mean, they get paid. Who's not checking labels?
I mean, like that one AIDS director in Baltimore said, if it wasn't harming the gay community, it would be funny. It would be really like funny. Wow, we had 1 million and then we're down to 1,000.
It would be comical if it weren't specifically targeting a specific community who is already marginalized and targeted on so many different levels that just honestly doesn't need to deal with this fucking bullshit.
It's fucking bullshit is what it is. Yes. So the company, I think, just had to like super rush and were able to somehow like come up with 72,000 like nationwide that were spread out. I mean, and that's why there has been, but not meeting the need. That's why people are turned away.
Because they lied.
Yeah.
You know what it's called when you're wrong and you tell people about it? Lying.
So to sum it up, according to health officials, the CDC, and others, monkeypox is a mild disease, usually not fatal, that largely consists of sores that can spread all over the body.
It's like having a herpes all over your body. Like, nobody wants that. And a fever. No.
However, sores all over your body can be extremely painful, make it difficult to sleep, difficult to eat. It can feel like someone exploded a light bulb in your
feel like a
butt
pariah.
hole, and the pain can be scorching and unbearable. And that T-Pox, a drug that can help battle the virus, is frustratingly impossible to get. And why? This knowledge comes from accounts from queer men who have or have had the disease. The community is very resilient and have been having to circle the wagons and take care of themselves, as the government really seems to have failed them.
Again.
Before our US Pride events in June, the government knew we had monkeypox. We knew it had been spreading in Europe. We knew it was primarily affecting men who have sex with men. That's the more limited definition. The government did not act with urgency and took a wait-and-see approach. Joe Osmundson, a microbiologist at NYU, talked about monkeypox virus as, quote, coming after gay sluts. It's almost personal to me. I had so many plans for a slutty summer, and that's not happening.
Oh, I can't.
Gay sex is a fact of life. Gay sex exists on planet Earth. You'll never change that, whether you want to or not. Yeah. It exists. Gay sex will always exist. Gay sex doesn't drive anything. It's like the sun in the sky or the tide going in and out.
Sex isn't bad, people.
So an epidemic spread through gay sexual networks. We want to be very precise about that language, and also to be clear that sex is a normal and healthy behavior. Our goal in biomedicine should be in giving people all the tools that they need to make the best decisions, and in this case, have sex with the lowest risk possible. In this case, the drivers of the epidemic are the structures globally that have led to vaccines, tests, and treatment all existing for a virus, and yet being almost entirely inaccessible. We cannot change the fact that gay sex exists, but we can change the fact that the Jynneos vaccine is not globally available, and we can change the fact that T-Pox is largely inaccessible. I say yes, Joel Osmundson, microbiologist at NXU. Hallelujah. Woo! The WHO has warned people not to attack monkeys during the monkeypox outbreak.
Yeah, be nice to monkeys. All right.
That's it.
Okay. I mean,
that's where things stand.
Well, I feel like all my gusto has been
gusted.
I've given my gusto.
You've given your gusto.
Okay, so I picked a topic.
Ooh, it's hot in here.
I know, and this is gonna make.
Do you want an ice pack?
I feel like it's too late.
Okay, let's just sweat.
Let's just sweat it out.
Sweat it out.
Sweat it out. It's derby. It's derby right here. It's practice. I needed this. Okay, so I'm gonna. Okay, so I feel like in the past months mostly, but for a while now, I haven't been able to be very authentically myself because there's been a big thing I haven't been able to talk about or felt like I haven't been able to talk about.
And I've respected that, and I know, like, okay, don't go there.
You've been very respectful.
Macy does not want to talk about that.
And I decided today, probably poorly decision now at this point. Okay, it's fine. To talk about something that's specifically been impacting me fairly recently and something that's impacted me historically as well. And I want to talk about it because I want to shed light on it. I do think it's very important.
Well, I think there's strength and vulnerability.
I agree. And I agree because I think this is a side that's not talked about as much, and we'll dive into it. And it's often minimized. And I'm someone who's been personally impacted, so I'm not going to go in and share like excruciating details. I'm not going to make it about me, but I will share some examples just so you know, like from someone who's been in it. Yeah. Because it sucks. So I'm going to talk about gaslighting today and hoovering.
I haven't heard that second term.
I know. I found it in my own research.
To get closer to the mic.
Yeah, you kind of.
I was lounging. I was like, my topic's done. I'm gonna chill, but no, I need to still.
I need your engagement.
I'm engaged
because I can't even tell you how like hard it was for me to even do this topic, which is odd. We talk about a lot of things, and I've had it come up, but it feels too vulnerable. Like you said, it feels too close. There's I fear a lot of judgment about this, a lot of which I have received in some ways from various people. So it's hard, but I feel like because it's hard, and I feel like I'm in a little different place than I've been where I can talk about it.
I love that growth for you.
Thanks. It sucks so much. If you want to hear more, become a Patreon.
Only $1.
Okay, $1. Okay, so gaslighting is something that I ended up having to look up because I started feeling like this was something that was happening to me, and it has become more commonly used term. So I had heard of it before, but didn't really fully know like what is, what isn't, and I went, this part is just from Wikipedia because I really like how simple it is. So first of all, gaslighting only actually came from a movie in 1944, a film called Gaslight that was popular in the mid 2010s is when the term became popular, but it wasn't even called gaslighting in the movie, but that's where it came from. So
because that's what occurred in the movie to the character.
Yes. So this term is loosely defined as making someone question their own reality.
Yes.
And it's such a simple but true, it's so true. The term is also used to describe a person or a gaslighter who presents a false narrative to another group or person, leading them to doubt their perceptions and become misled, disoriented, or distressed. And oftentimes this is done for the gaslighter's own benefit. Normally, this dynamic is possible only when the audience is vulnerable, if there's unequal power relationships, or if there's a fearful loss associated with it. So it's often tied to relationships. And gaslighting is not necessarily malicious, which is, I have heard myself say that out loud before about specific people. Again, this has happened twice in my life. So I don't think they're trying to hurt me. But it is
learned patterns of behavior, perhaps.
Yes, which is what makes it different from. So a lot of people in the psychology realm kind of give it it's overused because it is a learned pattern of behavior, often formed from different types of attachment over time. So it came from that title from that 1944 film in which a husband uses trickery to convince his wife that she's mentally unwell so he can steal from her. This title refers to the gaslight illumination of the house, which seems to waver whenever the husband leaves his wife alone at home. And this just hit me in a way that I can't even explain as someone who's experienced this, because when you're separated, things become clear, that self-doubt becomes
You can say things for what they are.
Not initially. And I would say depending on how I feel, yes. But I would say there are very distinct periods when clarity happens. And what I think people don't understand when they're not in it is because most people are aware of like domestic violence where there's physical abuse happening, where there's like cycles. When there isn't physical abuse happening, emotional abuse, such as gaslighting, has similar cycles. And it is just as powerful because they're, what's your problem?
Yeah.
It's not like I hit you.
Yeah.
Literally something I've been told.
Ugh.
So
makes me want to hit somebody. I mean, not really, but
which is
just the feeling. It's a feeling.
It's a feeling. Well,
not an action.
And that's the thing is like, I feel like a lot of people who are in this position get labeled in a certain way. So that's where the stigma comes from of like, you're weak, or you're not like maybe very insightful.
You're making a big deal about nothing.
Why don't you just leave? But, and this is why this was vulnerable for me to come out with, because I don't view myself that way. I have a doctorate. I have a master's degree. I own my own business. I do a lot. I've played roller derby. I've hit people for fun. Like, people don't typically say that I'm a weak person. I actually don't think I've ever heard that. But that almost makes it worse. Because then it's like the stigma of that makes it that much worse to talk about it.
Right. Because you don't want people to have a different view of you, perhaps. Yeah.
Or they just assume that I should be able to handle this on my own.
Well, it's not that easy.
No.
That's why I've, always just like tried to like just be there by your side. Like, I get it. Like, if it was that easy, you would have done whatever.
And honestly, I can say that. And there's some additional research that I did that talked about, and I was fascinated by this because gaslighting was specifically brought up historically in relationships and therapy.
Oh, which a therapist gaslight somebody?
Well, and it was talking about psychoanalytic models where it's like, I'm the expert.
Oh.
And it was talking about how therapists can often gaslight their clients. And I was like, holy crap.
I'm sure they can.
Yeah. The power differential, right?
Yeah, I've seen it's a lot of bad therapy out there.
Right. So it was actually fascinating doing the research on it, because it just, as a counselor, I was like, oh, yeah, I can see how that can happen.
Yeah.
So, okay. So according to the American Psychological Association, it once referred to manipulation so extreme as to induce mental illness or justify commitment of the gaslighted person to a psychiatric institution. It's now used more generally. And I can tell you from my own experiences in both of the cases that I've experienced is I have literally felt like I have told myself I am going crazy. And again, I'm someone in the mental health world. It has made me feel like self-harming. It has made me have suicidal thoughts. It has made me just not want to try because it's so frustrating. Sorry.
It's okay.
I don't often have feels on this podcast.
I would hug you, but I don't want the monkeypox.
I don't want to pox you. Okay, so
I'm giving you a spiritual hug.
I don't even like hugging. It's fine.
No, it's spiritual.
I'm not.
How about this?
It's weird.
I feel.
Do I have to like do it because you're doing it?
No, I'm doing it.
What hand?
Yeah. It just means that I'm feeling your feels in my heart.
Okay, I don't even remember what I said. And it's gone. Okay. Okay. So anyways, it's something that can make you really feel like you don't have support, like you're not connected to reality. You really sincerely doubt yourself.
Well, I think it takes away your solid footing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that feels awful.
It's scary.
Yeah,
it's really scary. And I've had in my first scenario where this happened, a lot of it happened, and actually both scenarios involved substance use of some kind. But the first one, it was just blatant, like, that didn't happen. And the commitment to that was so believable. And I'm like I actually feel that I'm a very nice person, so I really believe in the benefit.
Right, you're trusting this person as you should, though.
Downfall, but
if you're in a relationship with somebody, you should trust them. Yeah, and that's being used against you.
Yes, very strategically. To the point where I remember at one point of just like, actually, have you ever heard the comment like, I'm so angry or so stressed that I want to rip my own hair out? That comment.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that comment too, and once in my life in the past, I actually felt that and was like, oh my gosh, like I get it. And it's scary to get that, because when you read this definition of like being committed, part of it is on the person who is gaslighting, trying to maximize like it's a you problem.
Yeah, maximize their power.
Yeah, and then on the other side though is like it is actually causing psychological harm.
Yes. And if somebody's actually pulling their hair out, like especially in the old days, like that could be enough for a husband to commit their wife.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, look, they're crazy.
So it has become more popular, the term. So it's actually been the American Dialect Society recognized the word gaslight as, quote, the most useful new word of 2016.
Interesting.
Which was interesting. Yeah. And then Oxford University Press named gaslighting as a runner-up on their list of most popular new words in 2018.
Wow. So it's on the rise.
Of at least, I think, maybe insight into the patterns and maybe some general overuse of it as well. Okay, so gaslighting it's typically identified as a marital syndrome in 1988 is what that was.
Ew, I don't like that term.
Me neither. So it includes clinical observations on the impact of wives after their own reactions were mislabeled by their husbands and male therapists. So it was both of them being...
Oh, they gang up on the poor lady?
So they would have the lady come into a therapy session and have the husband and the therapist mislabel how they're feeling.
No, thank you.
No fucking thank you. So, don't tell me how I feel.
No, I hate that. Or don't tell me how I don't feel.
Right.
So is it mostly like males on females with gaslighting?
I'm gonna say so. Most of the research angles that direction. I'm not gonna say either. I think that relationships, I'm sure it goes in general
any direction, but it seems like the way historically power differentials have gone, yes. It's been that way.
Yes, and it has more to do with, I think, there's multiple things. We're good. Okay. So. And this is where I started getting mad at therapists in this time.
Let's get mad at them.
In a case study published in 1977, London Gardner reviewed a case of this is their words, not mine, of a paranoid psychosis in an elderly female who was reported to have recurrent episodes, apparently induced by the staff of the institution where the patient was a resident. Other experts have noted values and techniques of the therapist were actually harmful to the clients. So the approaches used potentially impacting periods of what they would call psychosis, of like feeling disconnected, feeling like it's not reality because their own experience is being so invalidated.
I think being invalidated is the worst feeling that I can feel.
I know. And I'm like, we don't like people in general don't talk about that piece, but when you're not validated by somebody,
it feels awful.
And
it feels like you're struggling to even exist.
Yes. And then you think about in a relationship, when that pattern starts happening, it can make it very hard to leave, because you are now you don't know fully what's real because you're in it and you can't leave it in theory.
And you've been made to feel so small.
A lot of what I remember from my first experience of it was like me constantly having to fact find, which would be used against me later as like I'm like snooping, or I'm like trying to find something wrong.
You don't trust me?
You don't, when in reality, like, okay, but there's always something I find.
Yeah.
So like you're doing wrong things, and then gaslighting the shit out of me after.
Right.
So, but then it creates this pattern of I need to prove my own feelings because you're not validating them, and I need to prove that something about my feelings is true.
Right. You're trying to give it some solidity.
Yeah, because what else are you going to do?
No, unless it ends up you feel like vapor.
I feel like vapor. That's great.
Been there.
Okay, so in philosophy, this if we think about gaslighting, it really comes from individuals who can't tolerate disagreement with or criticism that from worldviews outside of their own. Mm-hmm. So especially from friends, loved ones, romantic partners. So an effective way to neutralize the possibility of criticism is to undermine the other's conception of themselves as an autonomous locus of thought, judgment, and action.
Exactly.
This effectively reduces the target's capacity to criticize or respond independently. One of my least favorite attacks is an argument that happens, and then will come, well, what did I say? And I remember early on being like trying to remember, but like we're angry. We're like in the middle of an argument. Your prefrontal cortex is shut off at that point.
Down.
And I am a conflict avoider, which means this is like really high stress for me. And I just want to avoid, but I can't. But you're a pro at this, and like you're better in conflict than I am.
Those learned patterns of behavior.
And then when I can't think of the exact wording, you say, see,
that's not what I said.
That's not what I said. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
And it's such a distraction.
The whole reason that this whole conversation happened. But
it's just a sidestep.
It's a sidestep that really makes you question everything. And it literally does when you're in it all the time, because you're like, well, is it just me? And then you start to blame yourself.
Well, when I was married, yes, I'm going to call out my ex real quick.
That's I mean, that's what's happening right now. So good.
Like the go-to that would make me feel invalidated a lot was, it's fine. Like I would bring up something really big, like it would take me a lot to work up just bringing it to the table.
Yes.
Because I knew it was going to be like a thing. And it'd be like, that would be my response that I would get. It's fine. It's like, well, it's not fine. Yes. Like I'm upset, and like that my upsetness had no place to be. Mm-mm. And so then I think that's that whole feeling of vapor. It's like, well, where does this go?
It would take me,
I have no container,
months. And like I would have to, like, so I'd sit on something, sit on it, and then something would explode eventually, and then it would be, I'm the one acting, look at you acting in such a way, versus, yes, but you haven't addressed this thing that I've like been very nice about up until this point.
Yeah.
And now it's not a thing, which again, invalidating somebody's experiences and values.
Exactly. Which is the worst feeling. The worst.
So gaslighting typically involves two partners, so maybe that's a better way instead of male female, just two partners. The gaslighter who persistently puts forth a false narrative, and the gaslighted who struggles to maintain their individual autonomy. And I like, again, that wording, struggles to maintain. Like it feels like it's all the time.
It's taking away your personhood. Mm-hmm.
And part of this too is keeping you away from healthy relationships, or like, you didn't talk to so-and-so about that, did you? Like trying to keep some of that reality away, which feels really gross.
They want to keep you isolated.
So it's usually only effective when there's an unequal power dynamic, or when the gaslighter has given the gaslighter their respect. So that's where, so it's either power dynamic, or maybe you need them for maybe like something like
You've
that.
You've let them in for whatever reason.
Yes. Or you respect them, which could just be that you're a kind person and you do care about them. It could just be that simple. So it's different from genuine relationship disagreements. It's distinct because one partner is consistently listening and considering the other partner's perspective. And I think that's key.
Key.
One partner is consistently negating the other person's perception and insisting they're wrong, or telling them that their emotional reaction is irrational or dysfunctional. Gaslighting typically occurs over a long period of time and is not just like a one-off. Over time, the listening partner may exhibit symptoms of, over time, the listening partner, so the one that's being gaslighted, may exhibit symptoms like anxiety disorders, depression, and low self-esteem.
Well, yeah. You're going to spiral. It's going to happen.
Yeah. And you may be labeled as a generally unhappy person at that point. And then you have to read that and reassess about what that actually
and then
is.
Yes, then it's like, oh, that's what you're bringing to the relationship. You're unhappy person, you.
Oh, so close. Gaslighting differs from genuine. Okay. Anyways, so it also differs because one person is manipulating the perceptions of the other. So there is an actual intent to change the person's perspective. Again, it doesn't mean that it has to be like intentionally harmful, but they are intentionally trying to change your perspective. So like I'm trying to get you to see why
you're the one at fault.
Yes.
I think the gaslighter has to always be changing the narrative, changing the situation so that they're the one that is in the right. Always.
Yes. Because of their own vulnerabilities. Again, it's hard to be vulnerable. It really is.
It's hard, but you don't grow otherwise.
So the motivations for gaslighting, it's a way to control the moment, stop conflict, and ease anxiety and feel in control. So again, when I was mentioning like these people in my life that I've known, like it seems to be when they're in the most control. And which makes me feel in the least control. And I'm a very like I want to be in control. So all of a sudden when that table flips,
it feels terrible.
It's scary. It's so, I mean, that's just the best word I can say because it's so panic inducing. Oh, look at the little bird on your, oh, it's gone. All right. So here's a little bird. He said hi. It often deflects responsibilities and tears down the other person. Some gaslight their partners by denying that events ever happened, including personal violence. So this is where domestic violence comes in. It could also be things like minimizing how their words have impact by then saying, I could, at least I don't hit you, or at least this, at least that, which isn't actual direct violence, but it's making it's
not addressing the issue.
No, it's not addressing the issue. And like, I don't think it's a direct threat of violence, but it's intimidating to hear that because you're like, okay, and?
Yeah, you're like, well, I don't want it to come to that. What are you saying?
That's a low bar.
Yeah.
I should be rating you by what you are doing well.
Yeah. And again, it's a sidestep from what you're trying to help make them.
Yes, it's all avoidance of whatever that thing you're talking about. All of a sudden, that's not the conversation anymore.
Yeah, now we're talking about something that's much, much worse. Yes. Like, why would you even talk about this other thing?
Yes, you're trying to ruin something. So this is a learned behavior, and this is where when gaslighting gets used over too much, it waters it down for people actually experiencing this. So I think it's good to talk about it, but also know that it is a learned behavior over time, type of social learning.
Because it works.
Yeah, they witness it, they experience it, they see that it works, and both for self-regulation of themselves and to regulate other people. So they may have experienced things growing up in their own environment where they had to regulate things, and that's what worked. Doesn't mean it'll keep working, but that's what they know.
And it's probably largely unconscious. It's not like someone's like, I'm going to gaslight this person. It's just those learned patterns of behavior of what works to help them feel better. Which
the less that they're able to do that, the more distressed they become.
Yes.
And many studies have shown that gaslighting is more prevalent in couples where one or both partners have maladaptive personality traits. Things like short-term mental illness like depression, substance use, mood disorders like bipolar disorder, anxiety disorders, and personality disorders, or any combination of those, as well as neurodevelopmental disorders. So they're prone to and adept at convincing others to doubt their own perceptions. So the concept of habituation is that when things happen over time, you become accustomed and you learn that pattern of approach, which when you're in a relationship, that's the perfect example of how habituation can happen. So it can be difficult to pull yourself from a gaslighting power dynamic. Those who gaslight may attain greater emotional awareness and self-regulation because they're very used to this. Mm-hmm. They're the calm ones in that conversation.
Which can feel very frustrating.
Yes.
When you're the recipient and you're upset and you just want that person to acknowledge that, and they're just like eye of the storm.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard other women as well as have had it kind of presented as a threat to me that like if police were called in any sort of thing, that the woman who is more, or whoever may be more emotional, will be more of the target of police than would the
oh my god, would they be considered quote unquote hysterical?
I knew someone who went through, she was a counselor and was pinned to the ground because she had kicked her boyfriend out, had stuff on the lawn, and because she was emotional and crying, and he had physically abused her, but because that's what the police walked into, they had her held down onto the ground while he was calmly there talking to the police.
Yeah, and being like, look how crazy she is.
Yeah, look at her.
Yeah, look. Mm-hmm. I'm the one in the right.
Which then just furthers that process of it's not okay to show my emotions, and it's not okay to feel this way.
Right. It's a threat to everybody, including myself.
So those being gaslighted must learn that they don't need others to validate their reality, which is hard, and they need to gain self-reliance and confidence in defining their own reality.
Well, I think you have to gain separation. I mean, there's no other way.
And that's the thing.
You have to get out of there. But that's not easy. But that's the only way where you're like, oh my gosh, like now I'm feeling more like myself.
Mm-hmm. And that's where, going back to the movie, like the original movie, where like when he would leave, like the light would kind of like the power would go down. And
so interesting.
It is very interesting.
I want to watch that movie now.
I know. So do I. I haven't seen it and I want to see it now. So it's more effective if they have a position of power. And if we think of what power is, that can mean a lot of different things. So it could even be, yes, it could be financially, it could be status, it could be physical, their size, how they present to you. It could be threatening you in different ways.
Yeah, it could be controlling who you spend time with, your activities.
Mm-hmm. So gaslighting, in the 2008 book, State of Confusion, Political Manipulation and the Assault on the American Mind, the authors contend that the prevalence of gaslighting in American politics began with the age of modern communications.
Oh my gosh, is our topics linked?
It's just, yeah. To say gaslighting
Everything's fine. Vaccines for all.
Oh my God.
100 million in the stockpile.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't tell me it's fucking fine. To say gaslighting was, so this is what they said. To say gaslighting was started.
Oh no, it says not enough storage space.
On your phone. It's okay.
That's okay.
So to say that gaslighting was started by any extent, like if a group is simply wrong, it also misses an important point. Gaslighting comes directly from blending modern communications, marketing, and advertising with long-standing propaganda. They were simply waiting to be discovered by those with sufficient ambition and psychological makeup to use them. So, like, it's like the perfect storm that can happen, and it happens in government as well. So it's often used to describe behavior of politicians and media personalities. So some of the examples, gaslighting has been used to describe Russia's global relations. While Russian operatives were active in Crimea in 2017, Russian officials continually denied their presence and manipulated the distrust of political groups in their favor. American journalists widely use the word gaslighting to describe the actions of Donald Trump during the 2016 U.S. presidential elections. Columnist Maureen Dowd described Bill Clinton administration's use of the technique in subjecting Newt Gingrich to small indignities, intending to provoke him to make a public complaint that made him come off as hysterical in 1995.
That word.
I know. Comedian Jimmy Dore used gaslighting to describe why the Squad did not vote as block on Medicare for all.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know either. So it's used.
I'm sure it's a very important person.
And what this just shows is it's a tool. It's a tool that people use. It's
manipulation.
Yes.
You're creating your own narrative. You're controlling the situation.
Okay, so that's, let's just say, the generals of gaslighting. And can cause a lot of psychological damage. Again, literally originating from the fact of women being put in inpatient settings for mental health.
For just being regular.
For being regular. For not
just experiencing their feels and trying to express themselves, and
or
men wanting to control that,
or retaliating against that control at some point, and not being deemed as irregular. Okay, so in my journey, I then found this concept, hoovering.
What is hoovering?
So this article here actually labels it as emotional blackmail that makes gaslighting look like child's play.
Oh no, it's worse.
I would say that, like, from what I've experienced, I didn't experience this in my first relationship with this, but I did experience it in my second. So I don't think it means that they both exist, but they can together. Okay, so let's give an example. I'm going to make it this example. You and your fiance just got in the car after another disastrous evening with friends. Like always, he had too many drinks and began to act a fool. And also by you too, while you were there. From his sexual innuendos about your best friend's low-cut dress to telling everyone your mother's a piece of work, one thing's clear: you deserve better. So you finally say it, I can't do this anymore. Okay. So at first, he's apologetic. He admits he crossed the line, begs for a second chance. I promise next time it'll be different. Let me prove it to you. So you decide to give him a second or fifth, 10th chance. But then 3 weeks later, same position again. So this hits home to me on so many levels of this almost like rubber banding back of like, how the hell did how am I back in the same exact position as before again?
Like, why has no progress been made?
Yes.
You said you would change. Clearly no changes have happened.
So wanting out of the relationship but not knowing how to leave at this point, this is the concept of hoovering. So hoovering is an emotional form of manipulation that, like a vacuum, sucks someone back into a relationship. It's a behavior that's specific to narcissistic personality disorders. So people who talk about this share that people who have a narcissistic, it could just be tendencies too, not necessarily a diagnosis, who use emotional manipulation to lure their partner back into a toxic relationship. The term comes from the concept of a Hoover vacuum, where a narcissist
sucks you back in,
will suck up the happiness from their previous partner in order to get them to come back, said Dr. Elizabeth Frederick, a licensed psychologist specializing in relationships and trauma. Usually, this behavior comes on the heels of a separation. One partner attempts to remove themselves from the relationship while the other does everything to get back power and control.
So they're doing all their very best, all the stuff that you're probably attracted to initially, when they were showing their bright side, hiding their shadow side. They're doing all the things, pulling out all the stops.
And it's about control, which is what we talked about in gaslighting, right?
It's not sustainable.
No. So it's hoovering behaviors are meant to pull the previous partner back so they can go back to feeling a sense of control and have that boosted ego. In theory, hoovering is a last-ditch effort, typically for someone who with a distorted worldview, to regain that control. In reality, it's a mass manipulation tactic that, if successful, leaves the other person feeling trapped, confused, and unable to see the situation clearly. So you can see how this overlaps with gaslighting.
And then you just doubt yourself. You're like, why am I not a strong person?
Mm-hmm.
Can I not think independently and like do my own thing? Why am I back in this relationship?
So, while anyone can technically do hoovering behaviors, it tends to be more generally specific to narcissistic relationships. What's important to note here is that there's a very large numbers of individuals who have tendencies but don't have the diagnosis. So, really, anyone can engage in this. It's a very dysfunctional behavior, though, because it's very damaging. So, Case Kenny, relationship expert and host of New Mindset Who Dis podcast, tells us someone who knows their partner is trying to leave and knows how to manipulate them will pull anything out of their toolbox that can tug at their partner's heartstrings. On one hand, and this again hits so home, this can be gift giving or love bombing, the I miss yous, those sorts of little drops. Even after saying horrible things, and then I miss you, or you looked pretty today, after saying terrible things to you. Hoovering can manifest in psychological forms such as blackmail that like create doubt and insecurity. So if you're married or you dated for a long time, the longevity of your relationship is something that's going to be thrown around a lot. Like, I've been here for so long, or I traveled this far. Plus, if there's kids, that's like a whole nother level where guilt gets associated with breaking up the family. But this can happen with pets too. If you're going to really separate the pets.
Right. It's all meant to make the other person feel guilty and not go through with what their instinct, what their gut is telling them,
which is
the right thing to do.
And that's where I think where people who are trying to help are a little, most people, not you, you've been great,
thank you.
are a little misguided when they're trying to help because they start telling you what to do. And
the person knows what to do.
And that's the hardest
part. That's
not
the problem. It's not that they don't know what to do.
It's literally that they feel so psychologically damaged that you
start to doubt yourself.
It's
question
so scary.
Your instincts.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
That's my word of the day. Scary.
It's scary.
So, and I think any help is better than no help, but I can say, so even in the therapist feedback, it was like using a less directive approach, like less psychoanalytic, more like letting them have voice and have it be a collaborative session is more helpful. And I think that's probably true on friend side too. Like allowing the person, again, if they feel invalidated, the last thing you want to do is tell them what to do.
Right. Let them reconnect with their own gut.
Their own sense of self, even if that takes some time. So Dr. Frederick has some signs of hoovering. So number one, sending lovey-dovey texts after a breakup. I'm thinking about you. I miss you. Two, coming up with random reasons to see you. So remembering they left something at your house or that they needed to reach out for something.
Just put their shit on the porch. You don't even need to be there.
Threatening you with self-harm.
Ooh.
Or even like if they're not able to see you or talk to you, that they will commit self-harm.
That seems like that might be associated with individuals with borderline personality disorder.
Love bombing you with over-the-top gestures. So gifts, unnecessary surprises. All of a sudden you'll get roses and
a marriage proposal.
Or a marriage proposal. What? Right. Like, and it's like,
never wanted to marry me before. And why now?
Yes. So giving long overdue apologies. So this may be something like apologizing now for something that's been occurring continuously.
Where they refuse to have accountability. So it's like, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm really going to work on that. I want to grow as a person for us.
Great. For you.
Go grow on your own. Don't do it for us. Do it for you.
Making empty promises. So like you offering self-improvement to be a different person.
Things will be different.
Offering to keep things casual. So this is like, okay, and I like reading the definition of this felt more real to me than keeping things casual, which is pretending as though nothing has happened and attempting to re-engage in a casual manner, which I've experienced a million times over in both of these relationships of pretending like everything is fine the next day. Or
it's fine.
You said something that not even I've ever had a worse enemy say to me that's equivalent to spitting in my face. And then the
Just
next
pretending
morning,
like everything's normal.
would you like some waffles?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
I mean, talk about invalidation.
And that's where you go, because part of you that like fight, flight, or freeze. Oh my God, it would just be so nice to have some fucking waffles and not feel so shitty all the time.
And then you give in, and then you're a part of a cycle again.
Yes. Trying to reach you through friends and family. So, trying not to kind of frame you as the bad guy. Like, if she, this happened and she blah, 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 or he blah, blah, blah. Reaching out on holidays, special occasions as a reason to get a hold of you. Maybe finding them randomly on social media.
Got it.
Accidentally contacting you to strike up a conversation. Oops, didn't mean to. Hey, how's it going?
The accidental text on purpose.
So according to Dr. Frederick, so what do you do if you feel like you're being hoovered? Awareness is key when it comes to preventing or stopping cycles of toxic relationships. It's kind of like AA, he said. The first step of healing is recognizing and admitting that there's a problem. He adds, I know, especially as we get older, we have a real aversion to starting over and being single. But if you look in the grand scheme of things, the thing you'll regret most is sticking it out in a relationship that doesn't serve you. It's okay to request or even demand for them to stop contacting you. And most importantly, seek help from professionals to learn more about coping and safely separating from a toxic relationship.
Got it. Good advice, Dr. Frederick.
So that is that.
So gaslighting and hoovering are like related concepts.
Related, I would say hoovering. I know that in my first relationship experience, hoovering wasn't part of it. It was almost like I was like, and I think it was mostly because of substance use at that point. Like there was no attempt. It was just the lying. But when requests of change was made, there just eventually was a point of it's not going to happen. You should move on.
Yeah.
Which then creates a whole different desperateness of like you're trying to make it work for something they only have control of.
And it's one-sided.
Yes. Yeah. And then the second one definitely had hoovering, where it's like constantly being sucked back in and pretending like there's nothing wrong without addressing the major issues, and gaslighting, pretend like it's these things over here and why are you this? You're the barrier. If you just stop being the barrier, everything would be fine.
Which is blame. So gaslighting is more in general, and hoovering is more like just sucking you back in when you're trying to leave.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I could see, I think hoovering could be a tactic used if in like maybe a really toxic one. That's where it's like very cyclical, where people maybe go through the honeymoon phase and then like a big blow up or DV situation happens and then hoovering happens.
Because it's the hardest to leave when all of a sudden everything you've been asking for is happening.
Or at least said to happen, because if they're saying it, what does that mean about you if you're not a trustworthy person?
Right.
Then you must be a bad person.
Exactly, because it's all black and white.
So we've
got good job, Macy.
Thank you. Thanks. I hope that somebody can listen and if you've ever had this experience, at least just know that you're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not losing your mind. I'm
sure a lot of people have had that experience.
Right. Your feelings are completely valid. And I hope you talk to more people about it, because it's very shameful. I can't even tell you how many times I've been scolded by various family members who meant well. And it doesn't help. So, talk to people though. Like, don't stop talking. My gut reaction is to go into rebellious teen mode and like, fine, I'm not telling you anything ever. But it doesn't help.
It doesn't.
So just know they're trying to help and figure out how to make them helpful. Teach them the ways.
I love that.
All right. Until next time. Oh gosh.
Don't attack monkeys.
And
you got this.
Can you do your Beavis and Butthead again?
Cornhole.
Yes. And until next time.
What does it say? Give me some TP for my bunghole. Something like that, right?
Cornholio.
I am Cornholio. Give me some TP for my bunghole.